So just a little bit about me. First, for those of you who don't know me, I am Goretti Benca. I am a Hudson Valley resident pretty much my whole life. I was born in Manhattan, but we moved up here when I was very, very young. So I did all my schooling here in the Hyde Park, Poughkeepsie area. I graduated from St. Peter's in Hyde Park, and then I'm a Lourdes graduate, class of '93. And then I did some time at Dutchess Community College before I went on to St. Bonaventure University to get my BA in secondary ed in English. And then I came back and worked in the Hudson Valley in a few different areas, both in education and then in retail management. So I am very, very familiar with Poughkeepsie Galleria and all of its iterations over the years. And then I decided I was going to go back to graduate school. And so I went to SUNY New Paltz, where I earned my master's degree in American literature. And since then, I've been teaching at the college level. I've taught at the Culinary Institute of America, SUNY New Paltz, of course. I taught at Marist College both as an adjunct and also as their visiting professor for an academic year. And then I was able to obtain a position, a tenure-track position at SUNY Ulster and Stone Ridge. So I'm a hometown girl. I am here for the long haul. My husband and my family are here with me today, and my kids are all enrolled in schools in the area and looking to pursue opportunities here in the Hudson Valley. So when Jewel asked me to come and talk, I kind of thought to myself, why? Why would you want to know? Why would you want to hear? Thi Bui wrote this great memoir. I don't know if everybody's read it, but if you haven't, pick it up and read it. It's a graphic memoir novel, which is really interesting too, because we've had a number of Vietnamese-Americans over the years write a variety of different types of memoirs, talking about their immigration experience, talking about their resettlement here in the United States. But she was the first to do it as a graphic novel, so that was really interesting. And so when Jewel asked me, I thought, well, this is already done. This has been done. Like, go get the books, right? They are far more talented as writers and clearly as illustrators than I am. You'll get the story, right? Because mine isn't all that different. Folks have asked me over the years, like, especially as an English major, as an English professor, are you going to write your book? I'm like, why would I write my book? The books have been written, right? But Jewel was pretty persistent, and she said, no, I think that would be really great to hear a local story, so that folks could hear, the story from the perspective of somebody from the Hudson Valley. I thought, okay, that's fair. And I read Thi Bui's book, and I've read some of the others. I've taught some of the others in my children's lit classes. And I started to think, well, what makes our story different, right? And then I realized that because I teach American literature, one of the kind of trending themes in American literature is that the American dream is dead, right? It doesn't exist, unattainable, right? It's not there. That's a pretty pessimistic outlook. So I thought to myself, well, you know what? I look at my story, and I look at my family's story. The American dream is not dead. And in fact, it was achieved and continues to be achieved through the next generation. So that was kind of my aha moment, and that's what brings us all here today. I will admit, and I am perfectly fine to admit that I stand before you in a place of privilege, right? I am not an immigrant. This is not my immigration story, right? Unlike Thi Bui and Thanh Nguyen and some of the other writers that maybe you've heard about or read, or maybe some of the students have studied throughout this project, I don't have an immigration story, which is one of the reasons why I thought, why would I ever write one, right? I was born in the United States. I was born in Manhattan on Halloween at Bellevue Hospital. In New York City, I was raised in Hyde Park in Poughkeepsie. I went to a Catholic elementary school. I went to a Catholic high school. I did some time at community college, and then I went to a private Catholic university, right? So I recognized, and then I was able to go on and pursue 2 really lucrative careers. I was able to obtain, opportunities that people who I know have never had those opportunities. I got to meet the Pope. I've gotten to meet a new kid on the block. I've gotten to meet, all kinds of celebrities, actors, singers. I've worked on all kinds of projects and film projects. I've gotten to do so many cool things. I've traveled the world with my family and then with my husband and my children, right? So I come from a place of privilege, but I also understand I would not be able to stand here and tell you this story if it wasn't for the 2 people in the room with me today. So I'd like to introduce them now. My mother, Vianney Menchini. Come on up, Mom. You can come sit up here.
Yay!
Suddenly she's shy. She's not shy.
Go ahead.
Come on up and sit here.
Come on.
Turn to talk
Yeah.
about your.
Do I have to come
Yes.
in there? Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Do I look good?
You look lovely. Look, we're twinning. We didn't even talk about this, and we're twinning. Come sit. That means we're dressed the same. Come sit down.
I'm scared. I'm whole miles over. I'm scared. That's right. She talk about her only, not me.
Have a seat. You can sit down.
Oh, I see.
Please sit down.
Look down. See, I told you, my mom.
We're talking about Vietnamese culture and honoring their elders, right? And then the second person is Father Peter Vianny. So, Gal, if you come up here, please.
Come here, go. Sit next to me. That's my uncle. Protect me, protect me, okay?
Thank
You
you.
can take your mask off. So, again, I wouldn't have this place of privilege if it wasn't for these folks and so many others whose stories are similar and who have paved the way for us, who overcame obstacles, who made life-changing choices to make sure that their families, their offspring, their offspring's offsprings were able to have a better life and to live a life that allowed them to be free with choices, right? So the PowerPoint that is, the PowerPoint show that's sliding through behind, we're just gonna let that play and let that kind of just be the backdrop and to visually enhance what you're going to hear today. It's a combination of different photographs from our family's past, just so that you can see kind of the thematic idea that I want to present to you today, which is that although we come from a place of hardship and that we overcame adversity as a family and as individuals, ultimately we were able to achieve that elusive American dream in a certain capacity, all right? So as my outline says, we're going to talk about stories of immigration. So you're going to get to hear their stories of immigration, because like I said, I don't have one. So I want to share that with you today. And then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about growing up with a foot in 2 worlds, right? Because that is my place, right? I don't have the immigration story, but I have the story about what it was like to grow up here in the Hudson Valley with kind of a place in 2 different worlds and how I navigated that. And then finally, we'll wrap things up, and of course we'd like to open it up for questions, because I'm sure if you're here, you probably have some questions that you want answered. So hopefully we can answer those for you today. Okay, so we'll kind of do this chronologically. So since Father Peter arrived in the United States before my mom and me, I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Father Peter. Do you want the mic, or do you want to stand? You want the mic? Good.
And I will stand behind.
You want to stand? Oh, he's like he's a pass.
Yep.
Through. He's got to
Yeah, he's got to be behind the lectern.
Do you want me to do this? No, you don't. You can
Good,
sit.
good, yeah.
Do you need the mic, or you don't?
Yeah,
You
I
just
think
sound
that you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you, Goretti, for inviting me to share some thoughts about the time when America opened its arms to welcome the boat people, the Vietnamese refugees, into the heaven of this land of freedom, especially in this Dutchess County, New York. I should begin by telling you how I came to be in Poughkeepsie around 1978. and participated in different pastoral activities to assist the boat people at that time. In March 1975, I came to the United States from Saigon, Vietnam, for the third time. Unlike the two previous short trips, this time I obtained the permission from the Archbishop of Saigon to spend 4 years in New York and study English, hoping to later help training the young priests in Vietnam to be able to read spiritual books, to nourish their spiritual life. As Vietnamese translations of books in spirituality are very limited at the time. But at the end of April the 30th to be exact, only 2 months after I arrived in New York City, South Vietnam was lost to the communist regime of North Vietnam. You remember that story. With no much hope for a priest to return to Vietnam, communist Vietnam, I had to stay here and join the Archdiocese of New York. After 2 years working in a parish in Manhattan, I was sent to St. Peter's Parish in Poughkeepsie, Dutchess County. During those years of no resettlement for both people, we offered information about housing for families, schools for children, English Vietnamese translating assistance to help new families to be understood by American sponsors. Non-accompanied teenagers were allowed to pass high school diploma with the dissertation in Vietnamese. We made a special effort to help new arrivals to feel less lonesome, encouraging them to learn speaking English, even though older people had the hardest time to learn the new language. We got together as a community to celebrate the national festivities, such as Tet, the Lunar New Year, around February, March, when we gathered together for songs and dance and food. For Catholic families, we offered monthly Sunday Mass with prayers and hymns in Vietnamese. And when the right time came, we helped the candidates to apply for citizenship to allow permanent residents to swear in and to become full-fledged American citizens. As you listen to this story of magnificent resettlement work on behalf of hundreds of thousands of Vietnamese refugees who left their home and their country, who arrived on this shore half of the world away from Vietnam, looking for a land of freedom and happiness, the Vietnamese heart is still, today as always, remaining deeply grateful to the American people who graciously welcome with open arms the numerous bold people who arrived with a supreme determination to reach the shore of hope and a land of liberty. The story of both people in America still remains a truly excellent example of historical success, beginning with your best-looking extraordinary set of colorful acrylic or UV gel manicure from the artistic skill and design of Vietnamese. More than 75% nail salons all over the country. Thank you.
Like her now.
Thank you.
Thank you, thanks. So, oh, sorry, I forgot about this. So I think you can see what I'm saying about that idea of the American dream not being dead, right? And that we are still continuing to pursue that, and that it is actually coming true for so many. Some just quick questions for you, Uncle, to further kind of enhance the story that you just told us. So when you became a naturalized citizen, you chose to change your name, and then also, by extension, the family changed our name. So can you explain what your name was originally in Vietnam, and then why the name change upon citizenship?
Very hard to know.
I came from a big family, 13 of us, and Dad and Mom tried to get a meaningful name for each one. So my name in Vietnamese is the person who has meaning. So whatever I say, you know that it's meaningful. No doubt about it. So during the years of my younger years of priesthood, I made the round of the world, and I always think that when you go far away, you have a chance to see the work of the church, the life of the people around the world, how they live their life, their understanding, and that is attractive to me to know how people live and think. So anyway, I made the round of the world like that. And then in 77, when on the back, as I said to you that this is my third time to come to America. So when I came to France, I made, because I was ordained priest already, so I made the decision to go to Ars. That's the name of the little village of a saint, very famous, the patron saint or the priest, Saint John Marie Vianney, and that is my last name now. So I went there and visited and relived the life of a priest in a parish, very poor, very small, and he transformed the whole village, the whole parish, and the whole world. Practically, when you come to a priest and you say, what is the name of the saint, patron saint of the priesthood, the priest in the parishes, and they will tell you Saint John Marie Vianney. So I had the idea when I come to America the third time, and I was stranded here because the communists came to South Vietnam. So I planned to become an American citizen, and I want to transform my name, change my name into the name of the saint. First thing is, because when you live in a land where people have a certain way of spelling their name, telling their name, I would like to become American everything so that I can reach the heart of American persons. And because I am just like them, so it's a way to be closer and to transform people because they see that you are theirs. So that's the reason why I changed my name, and I act and I live, and I consider myself like an American priest. Yeah, so that's the reason why I changed my name, and I gave my name to the family too. So the only name of Vianney, V-I-A, and E-Y in America came from me. Yeah, St. John Vianney. Yeah. So that's how we got to that. Yeah.
And then I think one last question for you before we move on to Mom's story
Yeah.
is to talk a little bit about how you helped, a little bit more specifically about how you created that sense of community for the Vietnamese-American population, especially those who were first coming into the States. What were some of the things that you did here in the Hudson Valley?
Yeah. We, at the time, we have two groups of Vietnamese. The one who came to our area, Poughkeepsie, they worked for IBM at the time, you remember, very flourishing IBM. So a lot of people graduating from the schools in America, they applied to work in IBM. So they came as the people who came from Vietnam and working for IBM. We have another group of people who were working at the time, different jobs, but they came here with the family. So what I do is I try to let them understand some of the very common way to express the mentality of our American people, so that they can understand and they don't get in trouble with the new civilization. For instance, something very simple. When you talk to American people, never ask the age. The reason is because in Vietnam, we ask an old man to say, "How old are you, Grandpa?" And he is very happy, and he says that I am 92 years old. Because when you are older, you receive more respect, more appreciation. Instead of here, you don't ask questions about that age because they make people feel comfortable with it. Yeah. And so we try to help them to learn English. We advise them always to learn English before they move to other places because truly here is a little cold for Vietnamese people with the snow and everything. So they like to go to California or Texas down south. But I said that before you leave, you make a decision, try to study English here in Dutchess County before you move, because that is the key and the door for your happiness in the future.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'm going to move on to my mom so she can share her story. She wanted to be a little bit more off the cuff. So, and so, do you want to use the mic? Do you feel like you can use? Do you want to use the mic, or how's your throat feel?
Depends on you,
Okay.
Mom.
All right. So.
No, maybe I can talk.
There you go.
Can you
There
hear
you
her?
go.
Okay. Okay. If your throat starts to
That's
hurt,
good.
I will. Okay. Now I don't know what to do.
Okay, don't worry about it.
Okay.
I'm just gonna keep hitting.
That's fine.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
So, if your throat starts to hurt, I'll give you. Okay. So, Mom.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about when you had to leave Vietnam?
I sit here, talk, or I stand
You
up.
can sit. You can sit. It's okay.
Oh,
You
I
don't-
sit here. Okay.
You can.
I make sure I sit a hold on because I never talked in the front too much.
This is our first. This is our first presentation. So just so you all know, this is the first time we have ever done. Like I obviously, as a professor, I've done tons of presentations. I've done professional development presentations for Jewel on the Vietnamese culture for this project and for some other projects as well. This is the first time, I should have said this earlier, that we are all here together to talk about this and to hear the stories and to talk together. So just so you know. So can you share your story about having to leave Vietnam and What transpired after?
What do you want to know?
So when did you leave?
Tell
When
me,
did you
tell me,
leave?
help me, will you?
When did you
Mama, I
leave?
contact you.
When did you have to leave Vietnam?
Okay. I have
Hold
to
on.
stand up,
You want
Okay,
to stand up now?
okay.
I'm too small. I'm too young, you know. When 1975, my uncle, he gone already. We stayed there. And my husband, he a captain. He in a war. I in a war with him 3 years. I see a lot of people die, young kids that die. And I say, wait a minute, why I come in here see the people die? I scared them. I say, I want to die. I want to go home. I go back to Saigon. 1975, terrible. If you be there, you don't think you're alive. Because bomb they come and communists, they attack us. They attack the people who have married with a husband in army, in navy, doesn't matter what. They kill them. You know what happened if we can go to the bus? Because my husband out in the Saigon, he out in the boondock somewhere, I don't know. And we can go see him. We go see him, we have to have an airplane or he can fly home, that's all. And the president over there, they allow women marry with the officer, go with them in the war, live in the camp. We don't have a house. We have a back, how do you call them? Sandbag. Make the house. That's all. That's all we have. Then I live with him. I stayed with him for 3 years. My old daughter, she born right in the war. So the life terrible, you know what I mean? Doesn't matter, you married with a big shot, a captain, a major or something, but your life horrible. You can live a normal life like here. You can live a freedom, have a freedom, but not quite.
So fast
You know
forward, so
what I
now
mean?
it's April of 75. It's April 1975.
April 1975, we are Catholic and we go to church. I live in the camp. I live in airport. And I go to, with my sister, her husband the major, my husband the captain. We go to the church before we get an airplane and go. Okay, I'm so scared. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I tell my sister, when you go call me, okay? Because I don't know where to go. I'm too young. I'm 20, 21, 22, 23, something like that. Now I get young, I forget my age. So I go to church, say the prayer, everything. The bomb comes horrible. They want to destroy all the airplanes before we get off. And my husband in the war, not home. My sister, my brother-in-law, he a Major Air Force. He say, okay, all of you have to be together because time to go. They are now together. We don't know. All the officers meeting together and tell the wife prepare But the airplane, the big airplane, we don't know how to call Vietnamese, we call big whale.
Big whale.
You go big whale. I say, oh, big whale, what big whale? And I say, okay. Then we done the mass. The priest said, everybody, God will help you. If not, you're like, and
But you're here. But you're here.
So after you left in April of '75,
after that, we go to the terminal, go to the airplane, and fly in there. Go to the airplane. They say everybody have to silent. Everybody have to cry, and nobody can bring nothing. Just empty hand and your clothes. That's it. Because one airplane over 100 people, too many. And they say, go, okay, we go to the island. I don't know how to go. How do you call that, go?
An island off in the sea, and they go from Tân Sơn Nhất Airport in Saigon, across the water, and then go to that nearby island.
And we fly down there, we stay down there. Nobody, just us, airplane and us, and all the officers, just one or two officers only. The rest, all the white officers and the kid. And by that time, I carry her 6 months. I didn't know. I carry her. I have a baby either. Then I so sleepy, and when we go down there, airplane too big and we too small. All them lie down on the airplane to get avoid rain and too hot, and no water, no food, no nothing. And my old daughter, she run up to the, I sleep, she run up to the people, the man run in the village near there, and she get one chicken. She buy one chicken. I said, she wake up to her, Mom, wake up, I have a chicken. I said, are you kidding? Where the chicken? She said, they cook already. I said, where the stove? She said, no, I go to the village. I said, you go to the village? Yeah, I got, and we eat, and one officer, captain, he said, okay, everybody quiet, shut up, sit nicely, okay? And he go to, he fly the helicopter, go out to sea, and in touch with the officer, Philippines. They have a big boat near the ocean, and he got the say, okay, we come, we help you. Where all people say, people in the island, they stay there with the airplane, and the captain said, you can't bring the airplane and helicopter no more, have to throw away. And he said, okay. He come back, he tell us, prepare. The Philippines will move the boat near us, and we have to swim out there
Oh my goodness.
to go. I say, I don't know, swim. Tell me swim out there. I say, oh my God, what I do now? Then my sister, all her kids grown up. I'm pregnant, I have my daughter. I say, how do I get out there? And finally we saw one soldier, he go He next to me. I said, do you have a wife? She said, no. He said, why you ask me that? I said, I tell you, I have the little one, 5 years old. Can you swim out there and you help us carry my daughter? And I hold him to dry out. He said, okay, but don't hold so hard. I said, okay, I hold your shirt. We swim out there. Oh my God, I scared to death.
Me too.
I don't think I survive. I go in there, we go in the boat, don't have a room. And we hang around outside. And the captain, he said, we in touch with American Marine. They have a big boat up there. Then now we have to go to the big boat. Go to the big boat, I say, big boat? This a small boat? I say, okay, go. Go in there. You know what happened to us. We also make like go in there. Don't have a food. And I'm pregnant, I'm hungry. I don't know I'm pregnant either. I say, I'm hungry. My sister said, we don't have a food yet. I say, okay. We go, they have a room like a bigger than double this one. Everybody have a small spread, lie down, sit in there. And one Captain American, they say, all you can do nothing. Just sit there. When we have a food, we go around, we give to you. I say, hurry up, I'm hungry. My sister said, now you're hungry? I said, yeah. And so when the American come and give to the food, I say, can I have one? But I don't know. I learned the English because I in a college with my uncle. I learned when I'm young, I go to the school, just French school only. Because of my father, French. I go to the French school only. So I learned English myself by the transfer of French, go to English. So I go there. I work in BX in Vietnam for 4 or 5 years. I learned a lot. So I don't worry. I come in, I talk a little bit only. Then when I come to, the American boat come to the Philippines, and we lost the shoe. We go barefoot. My daughter, she lost the shoe. I said, how we get the shoe? They said, no, my sister said, no, you don't got the shoe, you got flip-flop. I said, what a flip-flop? How the flip-flop look like? And she saw me, I said, that's a flip-flop? Okay. We all got the flip-flop. We go in, they said, that's disgusting. We Vietnamese, we come in here, American with flip-flop. We should have a shoe and dress. And here we are, the tank top shirt and the pants, that's it. I say, okay, that's good. I don't mind. And then we make all the paperwork in Philippines. And the time we go to airplane, oh, I'm so happy. I said, now we see American, how they look like. And they say, you shut up or not, they throw you back at her. I say, okay. I go in, you know, who I am. I'm very active. I'm very crazy nothing. My sister said, you have to be nice or not. they put you in jail. I said, oh no, I don't want to go in jail. So we go in, we do all the paperwork, and they take me go to, how they call them? How they call cậu? Before I come to one.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, what the one? They say, one island. I say, another island? We sure we go American? They say, that's the same thing. I said, okay, that's good. We go there, we stay a month. Then make all the paperwork. How old you are, where you are. I don't know how old I am. My sister said, just take it something. Don't worry about that. We don't have birth certificate either. I said, my mother, she don't show me birth certificate. How do I have? So we all make a paperwork, and from one go California, go Camp Pendleton, and they too cold, you know. They give to us the army thing. We too short, we work like some people too short, walk like a boat. Wear the coat walk only, don't see the people. I said, that's funny. Then we stay there a month. They tell us who you are, we will send you over there. You want to go. You don't want to go, we have to stay in California. I said, where we going to go? And the one lady, I don't know how she looked like me, she looked at me. She said, do you want to go to France? I said, yeah, my brother in the French. He go to the French when he young. He 15 years old. And they try to take all the French kid go home. And they take him. Me, my mother, she have 17 kids. And she adopt me, she want I stay. I don't know, I young, I don't know, I don't care. And my father, they asked me, you want to go to France? I said, how do you know I'm a friend? I said, no, because my uncle in New York. I say, I want to go to my uncle. She, where your uncle? New York. He said, oh, you want to go to New York? The snow, I like the snow. Because I never see snow in Vietnam. I like to see snow. People say, to all the tall building. I say, I don't mind. I can walk up high. And they say, okay, you want to go to my uncle? My sister said, you crazy, you stupid. I said, yeah, because I want to see snow. We don't have a snow. You crazy, you stay here, look like a Vietnam. Here, I go to New York, I see snow. And I go to airplane, I go to see my uncle. And when I come, I say, oh my God, this is really high, really tall. And my uncles take me go to St. Joseph Church. I go up, I stay there for 2 years, right now, 75 to 76, he tried to transfer Poughkeepsie. I said, what the hell is a Poughkeepsie? How do you do that? And the nun, I stay in the convent, the nun said, Poughkeepsie nice. I said, yeah, I like to go. And my uncle go first. I stay there. I scared, but I like it. Because at night I come out, I take a walk in New York. Too many people, a lot of store I like to see. I say, I walk by, you know the store 5 and 10,
Yeah.
how they call them?
5 and 10.
Yes,
Mhm.
five and dime.
I
Five and
say,
dime.
I walk by there, I tell my old daughter, said, I want to work in there,
Mm.
but I don't know how to talk English.
Mhm.
How I go? I said, go. One day, how my uncle take me go apply the job. I got the job up there, work in the food court.
Woolworths.
And I say, where the food court look like? And the lady, she showed me, she said, here, you have to work in here and make a sandwich for people. I said, sandwich? How the sandwich look like? Then I say, okay, I can do. I will do. I go, I work. They give me tea for 25 cents. I said, what I do with that? She said, I give to you, bring home. I said, good. Put in a pot, you know. And he said, I said, what you want to eat? He said, make me steak them. I said, holy shit. Where the steak them look like. And they have all the picture and the one picture sandwich. I said, excuse me, you don't have to give me a tip to show me where the stick them are. He said, you don't know how to make stick them? I said, yeah, you show me picture, I know how to make. I make it, I said, that's a steak piece of meat, and I put something in there, steak. I said, okay, I give you a steak. I make him steak. He said, that's good. I said, good. I make good. Now I know how to make a steak. I want to work on that, make a steak for them. The lady, she said, no, they don't call, nobody, everybody don't call steak all the time. They call another sandwich. I said, holy cow, now I have okay, that's a dumb. I think I got the tip, I go home, I show my kid, I got the man give me 25 cents.
Okay.
So my uncle, he lived with the Monsignor Burn. Monsignor Burn said, I have an old father, mother, I need to babysit. He said, can you volunteer your niece? I said, volunteer me, go babysit the old people. How do I know what he said? So I go. My uncle asked me. I said, yeah, I go. I don't care. I go, right. Very funny, don't laugh. One day she tell me, she sit in there, I dress her up and everything. She sit in the living room. She said, I said, what do you want to eat? She said, TV dinner. I said, she seen nice, she want to eat the TV. She wants to eat the TV. I said, are you sure? You eat the TV, you done. And then my uncle, I said, explain to me what the TV. And my uncle, I think he don't know too. He go Monsignor Bone. He asked his, what the TV did know. Monsignor said, go to the freezer. I said, where the freezer? How the freezer look like. And he said, go down the freezer. I go down. He said, open it. I open it. He said, you see the box? I said, Why she said Thi Bui, she don't say the but. And he said, that the TV didn't. I said, oh.
So, Mom, so can we talk a little bit?
American, why you want to eat the TV?
Can we talk a little bit about once you settled up here in Hyde Park in Poughkeepsie and you started working for IBM?
Why, no, not yet.
No, we have to because there's time. I still have to talk.
No, you don't.
I talk fast, okay? I come up here, she killed me. She went to Catholic school, and I had to pay. I say, I got a $2.50 for an hour in the bank. You want Catholic school? My uncle said, yeah, have to put her in there. I put her on there. You know what happened? I had to work 2 jobs. I work in a bank, right? Then I work in a shop, right, for temporary, how they call it?
Cashier.
Cashier.
I work in there, go to the bank 8 to 4, and I work to ShopRite 6 to 12 every
my
day,
goodness.
7 days a week. To put her school, Catholic school.
And she's telling you to hurry up with your talk.
Sit down now.
Because she don't want to hear the rest. She was killing me.
But you made it.
Then I worked in the bank 7 years. They transferred me. I be in the near the IBM road in the Poughkeepsie.
Sure.
And the one engineer there, I never forget his name. His name John something. Okay? John something. Okay. He said, Mary, do you want to work on IBM? I say, what I doing there? He said, make the Jeep. I say, how the Jeep look like? I don't want the Jeep. I want to the money.
Yeah.
So he said, why don't you go work for temporary? See you like it. I say, that's a good idea. I go work. I work in the bank 8 into 4, and I work in IBM temporary 6 to 12. I work in there for around 2 months, 3 months. I can't make no more because I'm so tired. Work 2 jobs. And he say, okay. He say, I never see somebody work good like you. I said, I work good because of the big frame, you know, the big frame,
Yeah.
and you have to put all the chip in there.
Yes.
But everybody do around 4 or 5 frame only. I work 10 frame every night.
Wow.
I work so fast. He said, you good. I want to work full time. I said, full time doing that? No, I don't want to. No window, no nothing, I don't want to. And I go back in the bank, I work. IBM called me 3 times. I denied. And my friend said, you crazy, you stupid. I said, yeah, but you want to work frame and no window. You sit it yourself. I say, and he keep telling me, and the lady, she keep calling me. One day he calling me and my friend, we go in there together. My manager named Ocean, he interviewed me. He say, I want you, Mary, I want you to go work in IBM. I say, let me see, let me think about that. Then I come in They call me the third time. My friend worked with me, Ron, he worked with me. He said, okay, me and you go. I said, good, keep me company, will you? And me and him go. And I worked on that 25, 26 years. And when I will work 25, 26 years, then I retired at 27. Okay, hold on, okay? Let me show you.
Thought it was mine. You were wrong.
I don't lie. I want to make sure
Careful.
my future, the drop here. I work at IBM.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah,
Very nice.
I work at IBM 25
Wants to make sure that
years.
Yeah, see?
She wants to make sure that.
My name-
Believe her if she does.
Mary Vianney, but I meet stand up.
Oh.
I think my boyfriend, Ron Mancini. That's why
I met
my
her
name
there.
goes from Mary Menchini, see? I don't like it. Sure. Sure to see.
She's thinking, oh, you won't believe me. I said, take it and believe me.
No,
I
I
know.
don't know how to
She's brought that
make
along.
I make her IBM, somebody, and one
And
more
what do you
thing,
mean you
don't laugh,
remember
okay? When she said, I
He was
want the
3 months
soup
away from being born.
cauliflower, I said, cauliflower, how they look like? How many color? And she said, the white one, and you said, that's the color? No, I don't believe that. That's the white, not the color at all.
Thank you, Mom. So, here, get that bed, then you can have a seat back up here. You got it? Okay, come have a seat. So, so from refugee camp to Steakums to Woolworths to Banks and ShopRite and Jamesway. Jamesway was a little while there.
And
Ames, right, when Jamesway became Ames.
McDonald's,
McDonald's.
I like McDonald's because they give me big hamburger for free.
Some of the pictures that you're seeing chronicle the stories, right? And chronicles the places that have been important to us. And so, you know, the school and church of St. Peter's, IBM, and St. Bonaventure University. And the reason why I put St. Bona's up there, again, I got my BA there. And it's significant because that is the embodiment of the American dream, right? We went from Steakums and Woolworths and jobs at, you know, the bank and Ames and having to work 2 jobs to getting a job at IBM and being able to stay there, retiring after 27 years. I was a Beamer kid, right? And if you're from the Hudson Valley, you know what that means. And you know that it meant I spent my summers at the IBM Country Club, right, on Route 9. I got to go on summer vacations. One of the pictures is me, probably about 8 years old. I'm in one of those barrels. Remember at Niagara Falls, like one of those barrel pictures that you can take? I've lived a privileged life, but I wouldn't have it if it wasn't for these 2. So, but living and growing up as a child of an immigrant parent, a child of immigration, I really literally had a foot in 2 worlds because at home, Mom and my uncle would talk to us kids in Vietnamese, and then we responded in perfect English. We weren't encouraged to learn Vietnamese that much because we wanted, as Father Peter said earlier, you know, my family wanted to make sure that we were fully assimilated, that there was no differentiation between us as children of immigrants. My sister is an immigrant. Myself and my younger sister are American citizen born, but there would be no differentiation. So we learned to speak English fluently. I make the joke, and my colleagues at the college always laugh because they're like, you're so great at public speaking, and you're so great, like I always do like the announcements, and whenever we have like guest speakers, I'm the one that does the emceeing. And they say, you know, you have such this like TV presence. I'm like, yes, because when I was a child, one of the ways I learned to talk, the 10 o'clock news. And we were taught that the like most precise way to speak English, do you remember this? Was the newscasters. Because they were the ones who spoke most articulately, and they were the most formal, right? And so that was kind of my basis in learning. So I learned Vietnamese by ear, by listening. So to this day, I can still understand people. So when I do go to the nail salon and they talk about me, I can understand. But I don't speak it very well. I will never go hungry because I can order food. But I don't speak it very well, and I don't read it or write it out. But that was part of the process of living one foot in two worlds, right? That at home, I listened to the adults speak Vietnamese, but I would respond in English. We ate a lot of Vietnamese food, except when we went out, right? Yes, Mom cooked. One of the most common questions is, what is the best Vietnamese restaurant in the Hudson Valley? I don't answer that. Nobody beats Mom's cooking. So I can't answer that question. But it was very much understanding that at home, we lived a very, particular way, and respecting elders was huge, right? Following the rules, and living a protected life, right? My mom growing up in Vietnam and then having to leave under war circumstances, we were very protected, right? Nothing was going to happen to us kids, but that also meant very strict rules, right? So my friends were going to the roller skating rink and to the mall and to the movies. I was not, right? But, and of course, growing up, that was like, how unfair, right? I had my caboodles with my makeup that I couldn't wear until I was 16. I curled my hair. Well, you can kind of see, right? The 90s called, and it wants its hair back. But I had a perm, right? I had the tight ring perm in the 80s. I had, kind of a Farrah Fawcett thing when I was younger in the 70s. And into the 90s, I had like the cropped bob cut with the perm. I studied at a college preparatory school. I went to Lourdes. I went on to study at a university. I got my degree. I got my higher ed degree. I went on to teach college. I did all of these things because of what they gave for us. So what's really interesting is that even though growing up, there were a lot of times when I didn't understand why I couldn't do some things or why we did some things that other people didn't do, right? One of the pictures that you'll see in the slideshow is me holding up the red envelopes, and then subsequently my kids holding up the red envelopes. So in our Lunar New Year of Thought, right, the red envelopes were money, right? You visited all the older people. You wanted to see all the elders to get as many red envelopes as you possibly can, because that was money. But then I would go to school and we would talk about trick-or-treating at Halloween. We didn't get trick-or-treating for Halloween, right? We weren't going to go, as my mother used to say, beg for candy house to house at strange people's houses, right? At our wedding, there's a picture of my husband and I at our wedding with his godparents, and it looks like, Jewel actually asked me, you had a dark wedding dress? You had a black wedding dress? In fact, no, that's actually the Vietnamese áo dài, which is the tunic dress. And so when we got married, I made the decision that I would incorporate our Vietnamese heritage by having both the traditional wedding dress, the white, traditional with the long train, and then I also had an áo dài that I changed into partway through the reception to go around and greet the guests. And so the tradition would be that it would be easier to then visit with people without having the big poofy dress, trailing you around. And so I never really totally grasped this idea of living one foot in each world. as a teenager, I resented it, of course, right? Because I wanted to do all of the things that all my friends were doing, going to concerts, going to the movies, hanging out, going to the games and stuff. And it wasn't until, very much like Bui in her book, when I had children. And then I started to realize the sacrifices that parents make for their kids. And I started to think about, and I started to really reflect on, really reflect on this whole idea of, what it was like growing up, and why was my life the way it was, right? And you think about how do you want to raise your kids, right? Of course, my husband and I were 20 something in the early noughts, and so we were like those people, like we're not gonna be those parents, right? And I had like a really clear idea of what I was gonna be like as a parent, and just like anybody else, right? You start to think, I'm not gonna do what my mother did. I'm not gonna do what the older people did. I'm gonna be better. And I started to think about it, and I started reading some of these memoirs from Vietnamese-Americans, and I started to realize, no, I want to be exactly like them, right? Because I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be able to stand in front of you today and speak to you the way I'm speaking to you today. I wouldn't be able to present myself to you as a college professor at a university here in the state of New York without all the things that they did. And so when we talk about immigration and we talk about the American experience, right, we have to really realize that on the one hand, these are extraordinary stories. These are extraordinary experiences that add to the world that we live in, the culture that we live in. And at the same time, though, as you listen to these stories and you listen to my story, there's a universality, a part of that, right? We're all people. I experience very similar, experiences to many of you, right? And even though they had to overcome some major obstacles, they are able to have a life that is very similar to yours. So again, when we think about immigration and we think about, this whole kind of narrative of what it is to be an American and that American dream, I think that we can all start to see how it is both extraordinary stories and universal experiences, right? And so I hope there's some pictures there, and you can see kind of that idea. Like I graduated from Lourdes, right, with my '90s hairdo and my, I think that's like Jesse Raphael red sunglasses, frayed glasses, right? But I wouldn't be able to do those things if it wasn't for my family. And so I want to honor those stories. I want to honor what they've given to us, but I also want to make sure that people recognize that it's because of people's experiences like this that we have the America that we have today. And that we're able to achieve the things that we're able to achieve today because of their hard work and because of their determination and grit. And so I look forward to perpetuating that American dream narrative with my children as they continue to study in the United States and go on to do great and wonderful things. But they can't forget their story either, and their story is very much a part of theirs, or theirs is a part of their story. So I just want to thank all of you for being a part of this today, for listening to these stories. Hopefully you will go out and continue to tell the stories so that we can perpetuate this idea that we can grow as a country, as a people, as a culture. So thank you. I'd like to open the floor to questions for either my mom or Father Peter or myself. Yes?
In Hyde Bui's book, when her family first came here, there was much discrimination. Did you experience, any of you, discrimination?
You want to talk about discrimination? Did you experience any discrimination at all?
No, we don't have that.
I believe that we cannot avoid it totally. We are so different from one another. We come from so different backgrounds. You remember what I said before? I said that before I became an American citizen, I changed my name, a Vietnamese name, into the saint's name, the patron saint of priest in the parish Saint Vianney, and I chose that name as the new family name for me and for my family, the cousins, the nieces, when they become American citizen too. Just that is what we had to do when we came to the country, so that our American people born in this country, when they deal with us, we are not too different from them because our name is not Nguyen or Phan or Lê, but my name, last name is Vianney. Yeah. And Vianney is only one name similar is the name of my dentist. And he came from Italy. And it's spelled with V-I-A-N-I, Vianney. But pronounced together, but my name is V-I-A-N-N-E-Y. However, with that in mind, because we are so different, we are called always to go beyond that. And it's very true for every place, for every family, that either or this or that we call not pleasing everybody, but we know that we put in that effort to love and to consider, to respect each other. Especially, we can see that there's something beautiful in that particularity, that difference. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That, in terms of discrimination for me, generally speaking, I think we're pretty good people here in the Hudson Valley, right? And we're pretty open. Growing up as a kid, I think there are things that, kids will call other kids names, right? And tease each other. So yeah, I did experience some of that, but I think, again, going back to that universality, right? And you think back to, your own childhood or your children's childhoods, right? Everybody got teased, everybody. So never anything really, really harsh or really, I would never say really, truly derogatory, but I think, superficially, like Father Peter said, there's always the differences that will be pointed out or commented on. But I think, too, being in the Hudson Valley, I think we're a very different type of community than, say, like a larger city like in California, and Thi Bui's, living in San Diego, and those types of larger areas, I think, is a little bit of a different culture, as well as kind of a social, overall social kindness, I think, generally speaking, that we have here in the Hudson, or at least, especially back in the 80s, right? So yeah, but no, great question. But yeah, I was teased as a kid, definitely. I was called names.
But we like Poughkeepsie and we like Hyde Park. I live there over 50 years. I love it. I go, now I should go to Florida. I'm getting old, But at Georgia, I go anywhere. I don't like it. My husband is saying, you want to go to Florida now you don't like it? I said, no, I don't like it.
It's not the Hudson Valley.
Good for you.
I want to know if you still like snow.
Or did you ever learn to like it?
I like little bit because of my uncle or my husband plows snow. I'm sitting inside.
We all like snow on
I
Christmas
enjoy
Day, right?
every minute.
Great, thank you. Any other questions?
No question.
I just want to
We
say.
want to go home and eat.
Oh, no. Sounds like a good plan.
Please, yeah, no.
I just want to say that, some of your sense of loss and sense of your journey and the turmoil and the difficulty, because even you, Father, had, you lost, that I really appreciate the fact that you were able to stand there and tell us about that and share it. And I know it was difficult, but it was incredible. You're incredible people, and I just wanted to say that I have a huge respect for both of you for even coming and sharing this. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Thank
We
you.
lost, okay? We lost a big one. We lost a mother, grandpa, sister, brother. But we happy so hard because we can come in here, American accept us, and we make the money, we send home, help them. I say, you don't see that right. You don't want to stand up tall and go help the poor people over here and poor people over there. That'll make you happy, make you proud of yourself. Why you so sad? You sad because you lose, but you happy because you have a lot happen to help people. Me, I'm very poor. I tell you, sometimes we don't have money to eat. I go to McDonald's, buy $1 I share with my baby. You 3 piece, I 3 pieces. Chicken nugget, $1. Because by myself work, I have 4 kids. What do you think? New job. I work in the bank 7 years. But people work 5 hours, $5 now. I work $2.50. How do I survive with the 4 kids? And she is the one Catholic school.